right, welcome everyone. This is Karen Richardson. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Society for Technology and Education, and we are busy celebrating Digital Learning Day here at Vista World headquarters by having a day full of Google Hangouts with students, teachers. Some of our award winners will come in this evening, but we are happy now at 10 a.m. to welcome Mark Saunders. And you know, Mark, I had your title someplace and now I can't seem to find it. I believe you are the Director of Technology and Virtual Learning at the Virginia Department of Education, but you can correct me if you're wrong. So Mark's here today to give us a great update about the things that are going on here in the state at the Department of Education. So Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Karen, and happy Digital Learning Day to you. I want to start off by thanking you for one. I think back in 2012, with the first Digital Learning Day, I reached out to you, and you were willing to cooperate and work with us with the evening webinars that Vista always does, and you highlighted the annual Vista Award winners. So I want to thank you. And every year you would ask, you know, well, would someone from the DOE be willing? And I was like, well, I'll ask. And I'm pleased in the position that I'm in now that I can and actually participate. And
great.
You know, we've talked and we have plans for next year, Digital Day 2016, Digital Learning Day 2016, being even bigger and better.
Actually, it'll be 2017. How does that make you feel? Right? We're already planning a year ahead. Yay, we like that.
Yeah, just thinking ahead. So I am pleased to be here, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I want to talk about what I think are some pretty exciting possibilities. So let me bring that up.
And Mark, while you're doing that, I do notice that we have some viewers, so I just want to point out to them that we do have a Q&A box open up, so if you have questions, please feel free to type them in, and Mark can address them at the end as well. So go for it, Mark.
Okay, thank you. All right, now are you able to see my presentation now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Again, happy Digital Learning Day to everyone, all of our viewers. I want to talk about technology initiatives that were part of the governor's budget proposal to the General Assembly this year. And I want to give a disclaimer or preface my statements by saying it's a budget proposal. And if you follow, if you're familiar with politics in general, but you know, especially when it comes to legislators and proposals, nothing is set in stone, nothing is final. These are funding initiatives that have been proposed after discussions between leadership here at the Department of Education, the Secretary of Education's office, the Secretary of Technology office, and so these are what we see in cooperation with these other offices as initiatives worthy of funding, and our hope is that the legislators will agree. There's a good amount of money with each of them, and so but I just want to say that these are possible technology initiatives that may or may not come about, and if it doesn't come about in 1 year, that doesn't mean it completely goes away. It could be the following year. The first one I want to talk about involves virtual learning because, as you say, Karen, yeah, I'm the Director of Technology and Virtual Learning, so I'll talk about the virtual learning side first. I'm proud of the options that we offer to school divisions around the state of Virginia in 3 different areas, and with Virtual Virginia, that's the main one that I want to talk about. But you know, we also have our multi-division online providers, and then the local school divisions have online programs as well. And I'm proud to say we offer resources that are also available to those local online programs for them to use as well. But I want to talk first about our Virtual Virginia program. As you see there in the graphic, it's basically three different areas. The supplemental program that we've had for a long time, that unofficially started really back in the 90s when we were doing distance learning with the VESA and the Virginia Satellite Education Network starting out in Wise County. And then that kind of morphed into an advanced placement program, and then it kind of morphed or grew more to more than just advanced placement courses, but other courses to supplement local offerings. And that's the main part of the program. But this year we are piloting a full-time program, and we're also doing an Algebra 1 math outreach program. And so I want to talk about those two pilot programs specifically. Because in the governor's budget, there is money in there to expand that full-time pilot. The idea came about because, as I said, we had the supplemental program, and as part of the supplemental program, we were meeting local school division needs, but there were some courses that were not being offered through that program, and we looked at what those courses might be, and it turned out to be 13 courses. And so we decided, well, if we went on and added those courses, not only would we be increasing our offerings to all of the school divisions, but in essence, we made it so that a high school student, could really take all of their courses from grades 9 through 12 online through the Virtual Virginia program. And so the idea of this full-time pilot came about. It does provide an additional way for a student to earn credit toward graduation, and we're happy to do this. It's the benefit also is that by providing these courses, we continue to be an option, a way for school divisions to save money. If a school division doesn't have sufficient enrollment or sufficient interest from students within their school division to justify the hiring of a teacher, or if local funds or the school division's funding alone doesn't allow them to hire a teacher in a certain area, the Virtual Virginia program provides that opportunity to them. We were able to start this pilot with the existing funds that we received from the General Assembly. This did not require any additional funding from the General Assembly to start this program. And again, this is a program that benefits not just these full-time students, but also the students that were already enrolled in Virtual Virginia as part of just the supplemental offerings. And when we looked at the enrollment data for the pilot, we noticed that almost 17% of those courses that we made available as part of the full-time pilot, they were also being taken by supplemental students. So almost 17% of the enrollments are those supplemental students. Currently, we have 68 students that are represented at 51 high schools around the state, and that's consisting of 36 school divisions, and they're taking 370 classes. Now, the pilot was initially open to 100 students, and we started at around just over 90. And we lost some students when we looked at our characteristics of those students. We noticed that a good number of the students, this was their first time taking an online course, or their first time taking a Virtual Virginia course. And for different reasons, we lost some of those students, but we're holding steady at 68 students right now. And the proposal within the governor's budget is to increase the enrollment from offering it to 100 students to offering it to 200 students. And so we are hopeful with that proposal. The other pilot program we're running this year is a math outreach, and our intent with this pilot was to kind of help somewhat with the shortage of math teachers that exist in not just Virginia but around the country. And it's not just math, it's other areas as well. But we looked at math specifically, and we could not provide a program that offered several math courses. So we started with Algebra 1, and through this pilot, we've signed up 34 different classrooms, because the way it works, we had an application process in October. We started a little bit late. Next year, our hope is to start it right at beginning of September with the start of most school divisions' school year. But we had an application process, and we selected all that applied, 34 different classrooms. And they're classrooms, not students, because a classroom teacher, if you're an Algebra 1 teacher and you're licensed, but you feel that, or within your division, there's the feeling that there's a need for additional assistance or additional resources to help that classroom teacher in teaching Algebra 1, then we offer live lessons with a Virginia licensed Algebra 1 teacher to help with that classroom teacher. So this virtual teacher is talking with the live physical classroom teacher and his or her students at different times of the day. We're able to reach out to the different classroom teachers, and a schedule has been set so that the live lesson, at least one live lesson each day, is at the time of that teacher's actual meeting with her class. So we have 34 different classrooms that represent 15 different school divisions. So the lessons are live, but they are also recorded. And now, not all of the lessons are recorded. For example, let's say a typical 4x4 schedule. If we do 3 or 4 lessons today, one of those lessons is actually recorded. The live lessons occur, but one of those lessons is recorded, and then it is made available through Emedia VA. We have a contract with WHRO, which I'll talk about later, but through a free membership with Emedia, through Emedia VA, a teacher, any teacher in the state, can access these lessons. There's a recording of the lessons, there's a slide presentation of the lessons, along with the activities and other resources that are available to the teacher. We are able to go in and track the views, and so we kind of are able to see how the usage is going, and we do plan to do some type of evaluation at the end of this year to see how we can improve the program and make it more effective. Our hope with the governor's proposal, the proposal is to expand it to Algebra 2 next year for Algebra 2 teachers. So the same concept, we're just branching it out to another content area. So that's our second pilot, and again, there's funding in the governor's proposal to expand that. This next one I'm really excited about, computer science. When most people, I can't speak for most people, but I think when some people think of and hear the word computer science, they think of programming. And computer science is more than just programming. It is programming, but it's more than that. And so in the governor's budget is funding there to provide training for classroom teachers. the target audience is not just high school teachers. The target audience starts as early as the elementary. We're talking K through 12 training for teachers. And Karen, I was looking at before my time came. I was watching the earlier part of your first session with the students, those fifth graders there from Virginia Beach, and it's really exciting to see children that young really involved in technology. And the elementary level is near and dear to my heart because I was a kindergarten and a second grade teacher when I was in the classroom. And so when we look at this computer science training, this will be training for teachers to show them how at the early ages, the early stages of education, students can really pick up some of these computer science skills. The good thing about it is, and the Minecraft students, a good example, that a lot of these skills, students are already picking them up anyway when you talk about Minecraft and the makerspace movement and other initiatives that are going on around the state. They're picking up a lot of these skills already. With this computer science training, we hope to provide more extensive training to more teachers. There is the possibility that there will be computer science standards that may be developed as well, because as much as I enjoy and I see the potential with makerspace and other movements, what needs to be shown is how these activities, these hands-on activities, what outcomes are possible through these activities. So having standards helps to clarify, helps to clear the picture to show that students, while they are exploring and they're having fun, which is part of learning, but as that learning takes place, there's an end goal in mind that at the end of this, there's some outcomes, there's some standards, some competencies that they are attaining as they participate in these different activities. So this computer science training will help with that. Now, I want to talk a little about what we've done previously here at the department that kind of leads up to this computer science training. Some in the audience may remember that last year, just over a year ago, really, the Board of Education, released guidelines that allowed and showed that a student taking an AP computer science course, and taking that course, they could earn a standard unit of credit in math, science, or CTE that goes toward their graduation requirements. So that was as early as last January, and then in April, we provided funding for an AP Summer Institute in Computer Science that was conducted in collaboration with the College Board. And then this year, well, again, last year, we're still early in 2016, also last year, we awarded 5 high school innovation grants. And one of those grant recipients, the Richmond Regional Innovation School, their intent is to do quite a bit of work with students in computer science as well. And then we have academic and career plans that students start early, I want to say at the middle school level, and the intent with those plans is to have students starting to think early, looking at their academics, looking at their interests, what potential careers might they be interested in. So there's several efforts that we already have underway that move in this direction of computer science. Again, we are considering computer science standards. There are a number of different groups locally, and I'm sure there are others outside of the Richmond region that we potentially would work with. I think when I think of computer science and students at an early age picking up those computational thinking skills and the collaboration, the problem solving that goes on within computer science. I think of groups like the Texters, and you've got Janet Copenhaver's Warrior Tech Academy out in Henry County. There are several different initiatives that are already going on and moving in this direction of computer science. So I'm really excited about that. We're talking, almost over $500,000 each year for the next 2 fiscal years, starting fiscal year 17.
Hey, Mark, this is Karen. I'm just going to pop in here because we did get a question about the standards that you mentioned, the computer science standards. And this comes from Dr. Tolliver, formerly out in Longwood, and she'll be one of our presenters tonight. But she said, and I'm not sure you can see the questions.
Okay.
It says, if we develop standards, then we will have to make sure these standards are implemented. Isn't it better if we in Virginia think differently and somehow create standards for STEM that include computational thinking instead of computer science? So you mentioned both of those, and I know we've had conversations about this notion of kind of programming and computer science versus computational thinking. Will the standards incorporate that wider idea?
Yeah. The intent with the computer science standards is not that they would be taught and addressed in isolation. That the intent is that those standards, it's somehow to embed them, that when you look at science, when you look at math, that as those subjects are taught, you are also able, the teacher is able to also address some of those computer science standards. So the intent is not to add on other courses or to teach the standards in isolation, is to address those standards while you're teaching other courses.
So actually very similar to the way the computer standards were originally meant to be incorporated. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the first standards of learning came out, and the computer standards were meant to be put across rather than just have a class where you went and learned those standards. So this sounds similar. Yeah,
very, very similar. That with the computer technology standards, that they would be integrated into existing content areas, especially because at the elementary level, you can't add a computer science class. You have those core content areas, and I like to use the elementary level as an example, because just like with those Virginia Beach 5th graders, the way in which that teacher uses Minecraft, if she's using that within a science or just the potential to do that, it exists that you can do that in existing content areas at the elementary level as well. Now at the high school level, you have AP Computer Science. There's a potential there maybe to add other courses as electives for students maybe, but a lot of that hasn't been decided, and I can't say how we're going to do that.
Sure.
These are just really ideas that we are thinking about right now.
And as with all standards, of course, there will be opportunities for folks across the state to have some input and look at them and talk about them and so on and so forth. Definitely.
Great. We would have working groups and all of that. Yeah. We're not going to, no way we could do this on our own. We will reach out to different educational stakeholders. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thanks very much. I think you answered the question, and continue on.
Okay. The next one, this is an area, career and technical education, credentialing and equipment. In the governor's budget, there's funding of over $2 million for the next 2 fiscal years to purchase tests and materials for the CTE credentialing, and for localities they even purchase their equipment. And CTE it's not, when growing up, we used to think of technical education as vocational education, and it's not. I grew up in the 70s, and career technical education today is not what it used to be in the 70s. It is so much more. So I want to talk a little bit about just what credentialing is, because I know within technology, instructional, educational technology, we don't really talk that much about career and technical education, and there is some overlap there. There is a connection there. And the way credentialing works is that a student can take a CTE class, and as part of that class, or at the end of that class, there's an opportunity to take an external exam that tests the technical skills that that student has been given, has been instructed in and had opportunities to develop during that CTE course. Now, when the student passes that credentialing exam, that external examination, in addition to a certificate or a license that they can earn, a credential is also awarded. You know, the awarding of this credential combined with the standard unit of credit that that student earns with that CTE course, that can be used for the student, in essence, to end up with a verified unit of credit toward graduation. And so, you know, there's like 5 different types of credentials that are available to students, and over 350 different credentialing exams. So this is a wonderful way, another opportunity for a student to really earn a license, really, and come, you know, you come out of, it's not every course or in every area that you can take a class, pass the test, and come away with a license or a credential that is really recognized by an industry. And so with this funding, it would increase the number of tests and the materials that that local school divisions would use with these courses. So a wonderful opportunity there as well. Next one, again, career and technical education. Last year, a SUPS memo went out, and there was an application process where 71 different challenged school divisions could apply for funding, $62,500 in funding to conduct a cybersecurity camp. And now this was not part of the governor's budget proposal. This is something that's actually going on now, and I just wanted to highlight this as after talking about the career and technical credentialing. But 71 different school divisions, challenged school divisions, were eligible. $2.4 million available, and that 2.4 is for upcoming fiscal years for additional camps that's available. 32 camps, 4 coming from each of the 8 superintendents regions, and within, I would say, within the next week, an announcement of who are the recipients of those funds will be made. So I want to talk about that as well. Here we have the goals, and it is to let students see the opportunities, the careers that are available there in cybersecurity. And it will be an opportunity for students to be involved with actual projects, project-based learning there, as well as an opportunity for students as well as the teachers to see and I was talking about these credentials. It's another opportunity for them to understand how those industry credentials work, and the opportunity they would have in the next school year to take advantage of the course as well as the credentialing. Also in the governor's budget is funding for STEM through the arts, which we call STEAM. These are programs that would be made available through arts programs. What I like here is for kindergarten and preschool students. Again, we're starting early. We're talking for the next 2 fiscal years, $75,000. I like that. Again, being a former kindergarten teacher that was focused on the kindergarten and preschool students. And the last one I want to talk about is Emedia VA. Emedia VA was started by WHRO a few years back, and we had some funding available, and we decided to provide additional funding to Emedia VA to expand it. It's a digital platform. This is what we consider our main platform for providing resources to educators around the state. This is, I referred to it earlier when I was talking about the math outreach pilot, that those lessons are uploaded to to Emedia VA. They have tons of offerings, over 120,000 learning objects within Emedia VA. I want to emphasize again that it is free to all Virginia educators. There's content in there that our Virtual Virginia teachers use within their courses. Like I mentioned the Algebra 1 lessons earlier, 31 different content providers currently and growing. Here's a little bit of history here. Originally, when they started it back in 2012, it was just for the school divisions in the Hampton Roads area, and since then, it's grown. It's grown from just over 25,000 to now over 150,000 teacher accounts. And we have representation in of the 132 school divisions around the state. There are in 111 of those, and all within all regions of the state. This graphic here just shows the usage over time over these last 4 to 5 years, just the growth there, and it enormous potential there. So within the governor's budget is a proposal to continue funding for Emedia VA. Wonderful initiative. So the objective is growth and expansion, additional statewide training, and new content development. The WHRO has some work in the pipeline involving open educational resources and other resources that I think will be very beneficial to educators. And here you have my contact information. This is my staff, and with technology and virtual learning, we're growing. I'm looking to bring on another staff member next month to expand our capabilities here. I've got Jean Weller in the room here with me. Rebecca Hawthorne has been with us a few months. She's doing a wonderful job with virtual learning, and we're looking forward to working and expanding. Karen, like I told you many times, enjoy working with you. Looking forward to working with you even more. So, any questions for me or anything?
So yes, and I'd like to say the same thing, Mark. It's great to be able to partner with the Department of Education, and I'm so glad we finally convinced you to come in and be a live part of Digital Learning Day. We do have another question. E2T2 funding, which I know now has a different name, I believe, but do we know anything about what that's going to look like? I think the budget's still at the federal level, still under advisement. What
we do know is there is within ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act, we do know that there is a good amount of funding in there for educational technology, the use of technology in the classroom by teachers and students. We do know that's in there. It used to be Title II, Part D. I want to say it's now Title IV, Part A. Don't quote me on that, but
I believe you're correct. I think it's Title IV at least, and I'm not Googling in another window right now. But for the questioner, again, Dr. Tolliver, what we do know, and I'd say keep track of your VISTI newsletters and social network, is that in December we were celebrating because they had really requested a lot of money, or the original budget draft. I'm not completely sure how all these things work, but the original budget draft had a lot of money in it, and that got dialed back. So ISTE particularly was a little concerned that they had sort of approved a lot of money and pulled that back. So I'd encourage you to keep track of your of your emails, because we may be asking folks to send some contact information to their federal legislators to say what happened. Why
Yeah.
isn't all the money there for us?
Yeah. And let me say also, since I know Dr. Tolliver is out there, Mono, we talked a few years back. You had provided me with some information on the robotics, and I know you were involved with robotics as well. Now that you've got some free time in your retirement years, get in contact with me. Send me an email or call me. I want to talk with you some more about that. See some potential there as well. And it's good to know you're out there and listening. So thank you very much, Mono.
And then we do have one more question, and this comes from my fellow moderator. Several students offer virtual schooling for elementary and middle level schools. Students, is DOE proposing to include that in Virginia's virtual learning? Is there a virtual school in the works from the DOE?
A virtual school?
So it'd be K-12 as opposed to middle school, high school, or high school.
Right. Well, in terms of possibly going down to the middle school level, it's hard to say, really. Right now, we're focused on the high school level. Would we go down to the middle school level? That's possible. In terms of a school, and I say the word school because ours is more of a program versus a school, because as a school you get into accreditation and other issues, and so ours is more of a program. So as a program, might we look to go down to the lower levels? Yeah, that's always a possibility, but right now that's not an area that we're going in right now, but anything's possible moving forward.
All right, great. I don't see any other questions, but thank you very much, Mark. We will have this archive out for us out on the Vista YouTube channel, and we'll be getting that link out to people. I know we did have a few viewers, and I appreciate the questions and the interaction. We are going to go ahead and stop broadcasting this Hangout, and at 10:45 we'll be back again with some more students from across the Commonwealth. So thanks again, Mark, and we will be hearing from Bobby Keener, Chief Technology Innovations Officer, at 1 p.m. today. So a little more update from the Department of Education at 1 p.m. today. Thanks again, Mark. Thanks for the partnership. Thanks for Tim Stallmer for helping me to moderate. So, of course, all the technology worked perfectly because Tim's here. And we'll be back online in just a few minutes. Thanks, folks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.